Welcome to the REI Foundation podcast, where we cover all the steps and strategies to make your real estate dreams a reality. Now your hosts, Jason and Peely.
Hi, everyone, and welcome again to the Real Estate Investing Foundation podcast with Jason and Peely. It's only Peely today. I'm so sorry Jason couldn't be here, but I have two amazing guests to share with you today. I have Julie Lam and Annie Dickerson. Welcome, Annie and Julie.
Thank you for having us.
Julie.
Yay! I'm so happy to have these women on our podcast today. They are the founders of Goodegg Investments, and Goodegg Investments has syndicated, 2,200 plus multifamily units and 1,000 plus self-storage units worth over, there's so many zeros here. Is this correct? $236,500,000. Oh my goodness. I'm so honored to have you guys here. As a real estate investment company, they focus on preserving and growing investors' capital by identifying investment opportunities that are acquired and managed by experienced partners that have proven track records of success. Through this process, investors leverage their knowledge, expertise, and relationships within the multifamily apartment / self-storage space. Welcome, Annie and Julie. Awesome. I have to say this. Boom. And the only reason why I say
drop the mic, we're done. We'll just leave now, right?
Podcast is done. Boom. Drop the mic. We're over. Well, the amazing thing is, I remember talking to Julie. Was it like we met like a year ago, maybe? And you weren't in this place. You were just starting. You had just acquired your first few multifamily properties, and you were just starting to build. And now you're both this amazing powerhouse. So before we get into that, though, I want to know how you both got started in real estate, and then kind of segue into how you created this amazing partnership.
Sure. Yeah. I'll go first. So I started investing in real estate back in 2009 here in the Bay Area. I live in San Francisco, and kind of fell into it accidentally. My real estate agent wanted me to buy a condo, a 3.5 bedroom condo, and I wanted to buy a loft. And she had said, if you buy this 3.5 bedroom townhome, you could potentially rent out the other units. And I was like, oh, that's super interesting, and have that pay down my mortgage. And so we ended up going with that townhome, and we kind of became landlords that way and got into real estate like that, and house hacked for 3 or 4 years, and then self-managed for another couple of years until we got married and had kids. Started buying another property in the Bay Area, and then started cycling out of those in 2013 and 2016. Started exiting those properties, and then started to think, okay, what should we be doing with this money? And then that's how I got into multifamily, because I started to wanted to scale up and do more. And so yeah, that's kind of the short story of how I got into real estate investing. And I'll let Annie tell her story, and then she can also share how she and I met and all of that. She's better at telling that story than I am.
Annie?
Sure. So we met on Match.com. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
It was Tinder. Okay, so from the beginning, actually, Julie's and my stories in starting out in real estate investing are remarkably similar. So same as Julie and her husband, my husband and I, we were looking for a home right after we got married. And, being young and naive, we were in Washington, D.C. at the time. We were looking at condos and lofts and Adams Morgan and Logan Circle. We're like, this is going to be great, city living. And fortunately, we had a realtor just like Julie's who floated this idea of, maybe you might want to buy something more practical, like a row home, which is pretty common in DC. And lots of those row homes come with basement in-law suites. And he was the first one who introduced us to the term cash flow positive. He said, if you play your cards right, you might get this thing to be cash flow positive. And at the time, I had never heard those words together before, but I thought, I like the sound of that. I'm going to try that. And so we started out house hacking and did that a few times in DC. And then we currently live in Oakland, California. We've done that a few times here as well. But as you know, the Bay Area is very expensive and competitive. And so we started looking out of state. And when you look out of state, out of an expensive area like the Bay Area in California, you can acquire properties a little more quickly. So we were able to get into a lot of properties rather quickly. And what happened was, as we did so, friends and family started to get interested. They said, oh, I see what you're doing there. I want to do that too. And so we said, yeah, you know what? This real estate thing is so cool. You can get it to be cash flow positive. And they're like, yeah, we want that too. And so I said, okay, here's what you got to do. You research the markets, you find a broker, you look at the properties, you run the numbers, you fill out loan applications, you get an inspection, you get an appraisal, and then you're like pretty much there. And somewhere along the way, people's eyes would glaze over. You know what? Actually, nah, I changed my mind. I'll just stick to what I'm doing with my savings account. I'll be fine. And so we thought, man, this is such a missed opportunity for people, because we know how great of an opportunity that real estate investing is and how great it's been for building passive income and wealth for our family. And so that's when we sort of went down the path of trying to put together a syndication. And so at first I thought, oh, this will be easy. I'll just run a syndication myself. You know, how hard could it be? You know, you find the property just like we've been doing, then you find a few people to invest their money, and, you know, you put together this thing called a PPM. It'll be fine. I could do it.
Easy peasy.
Easy peasy, you know. But thankfully, life intervened, and I had an opportunity to raise some capital with another team. So it was their deal, and I was coming in to help with some due diligence and investor relations and to bring in some capital. And what I realized in doing that was that that's the piece that I actually love. And I love that investor education piece. And that's what Julie and I initially, we met and we talked a lot about. We actually met at a conference earlier this year. And at the time, I had just quit my job to do this syndication thing full time. And Julie was really wanting to quit her job. And we were both working moms, and we just hit it off right away because we were talking a lot about how great passive investing is. You know, we've both done a lot of active investing with our rental homes, and we've dealt with the tenants, the termites, the toilets, and we didn't want to do that anymore. And so we talked a lot about syndications, and she was working with investors, and I was starting to work with investors. And so then we were both from the Bay Area, so we met up a few more times and had a few more conversations. And one time I remember we were talking about, we're trying to target the same people, which is other working moms who want to build passive income for their families. And I said, you know what? I love the blogging and marketing side of the business. But, you know, if I could take one thing away, it would be meeting with people. And Julie said, you know what? I love meeting with people. It's the writing part that, you know, I could just do without. And so we realized our skill sets were really pretty complementary. And so that's when we formed the partnership and created Goodegg Investments.
That is amazing. Just the way you guys came together and formed this powerhouse. And I love talking about the power of partnerships. Like either like the partnership that you have, the partnership I have with Jason, or the partnerships that you have with your investors, everybody that you bring into the fold. So talk a little bit about that. Talk about why your partnership has taken you both from, mid-level, pretty decent investors. You have things going on for each other, but I read these numbers and my mind is blown. So how does that happen? What happened when you two found each other?
I mean, I think part of the power of partnerships is that you're essentially leveraging your strengths against somebody else's weaknesses and vice versa, right? So what ends up happening is that you together as a partnership are just have all of these strengths, right? As opposed to just having like once you're good at one thing. I mean, no one person is good at everything. And in real estate, there's so much that needs to be done to make something happen, right? Like, and not one person is always going to be good at everything. And rather than focusing on the things that you're not good at and trying to get better at those things, it's a smarter idea to do what you're really good at and then hand off the things that you're not so good at to somebody else to do. And then together, you guys are like this power team. And I think that like mix, that combination is so critical to finding success faster. Essentially, that was sort of a secret for me, and that's what I did with finding a mentor. I think that's extremely important, is finding a mentor and leveraging their experience that they bring to the table so that you can understand things faster and not make all of the mistakes that they made, and sort of just jump into things and go faster. So part of looking at the relationship between Annie and I, it was just exactly what she said, which was that, it was like, okay, she loves doing this and I love doing that. And so it's like, okay, well, you take over that and I'm going to stay over here. And that's essentially how the relationship works. And it's worked out exactly as we had anticipated. And, she handles all of that, all the branding and the marketing, which is like amazing. I get people emailing me all the time, like, who does your branding? Who does your marketing? I'm like, you're going to have to talk to Annie about that. She's the expert, right? And I love doing the investor side of things, where I get to chit chat with investors about investing strategies and how to get from A to Z and what does this passive investing all mean. And I love those intimate conversations, and that's great for Annie because then she doesn't have to deal with all that. And she can again focus on what she's good at, right? So I think that's really important to talk about partnerships for sure. So I love that you brought that up. But Annie, do you want to add something on that too?
Yeah, sure. I think on top of the skill sets, which is a huge thing, is that we get along, our skill sets are complementary, and we were able to sort of, I guess you could say we were kind of able to bring together our assets, not in the sense of money assets, but other types of connections that we've made. So it's like when you get married, right? This person has a dog and a car, and this person's got a house and a bike, and you kind of bring it together and you got all these different things, right? And so it was the same when we came into this partnership. Julie was working with a few different mentors, and I was working with a few different mentors. And I had my investor database, and she had hers, and we were able to sort of bring all that together. And that's, I think, you speak of the powerhouse, and I think that is really what enabled us to grow exponentially.
And it is exponential indeed, because like I said, I just met Annie, but I remember talking to Julie a year ago, and it's been so amazing watching your growth just on social media, just on all the sites that you're on, and just having people just, the investment community can be kind of small. So it's like through the investment community, they're just like, wow, look at Julie and Annie, they're doing so well. So you touched a little bit on mentorship. Let's talk a little bit about that. How did mentorship affect your life, and how did that push you into where you are today?
Yeah, I mean, mentorship is so key, right? Because it's sort of this place, this relationship that you're in where somebody else helps guide you, right, from their experiences, but then they also push you to think a certain way. And I feel like so much of what we do is mindset, right? So it's like when I didn't have a mentor, I lived in this world of, my God, I'm never going to be able to do that. Like, I'll never be able to buy a 300 unit apartment building. That's so far out of my league, right? But when you get a mentor who helps break it down for you step by step by step and says, okay, look, here's the goal, here's where you're trying to go, and here are all the little steps that you need to take to get to that goal. And then all of a sudden everything is like, oh, that's all I have to do. Like, wow, that makes it so much easier. It makes it more digestible, right?
Yes.
And so for me, having that mentor was like, okay, let me take step 1, let me take step 2. And then, oh, I'm stuck at step 2. I don't know how to get over this mental barrier or whatever it is. And sometimes it's not necessarily just going to step 3. It's, well, maybe for you, in this case, as it was for me, maybe in purchasing apartment buildings, your role might be managing investor relations and bringing equity to the table because that's what you love. So then we go off on a derivative of like step 3, and then I go down a different path. But without having that mentor there to guide me, I could have gotten stuck at step 3 and then never moved past that because I thought, oh my God, okay, I was right. Like my initial thought, like I could never do this. It's coming true. This is a barrier and I don't know how to get past that, right? So for me, having mentors allows me to get over those hurdles and get over that like sort of those mental barriers that everyone puts in front of themselves. Like, oh my gosh, I'll never be able to do this. It's so big. It's out of my league. I don't even know where to start. And so for me, having a mentor, having a coach really helps break everything down and make it a lot easier to understand and helps get you from point A to Z in a way that's comfortable for you and appropriate for you. So, yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Thank you for speaking to that, Annie.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's all about that mindset, and it's also about saving you some time. And, you know, when I was starting out in investing in my first duplex, I didn't get a mentor. I didn't really need one. You know, it was, you know, I was running my own numbers and maybe we left some money on the table. That's fine. It was our own money. But now when we're in multifamily and these syndications, you know, it's not just our money anymore. It's our investors' money. And that's a huge responsibility. And so we wanted to make sure that we were doing it right the first time and every time. And I have this Post-it on my in my office right here. You'll see success leaves clues, right? Everybody's heard that one. And it's true that these mentors, you know, they're out there and they're helping people for a reason. It's because they have achieved success. They've created a pathway that works. And so why reinvent the wheel? I had one mentor who was teaching me how to have effective communications with investors. And he let me into his inner circle and he said, okay, here's the exact email I'm sending out to my investors today. Here it is. If you want to use this exact email, go ahead, just copy and paste, and you can send out what has been proven to work with my investors. Or you could take this as a template, modify it to your style and your tone, and then you can send it out to your investors. But that way, you know, I'm standing on a foundation that somebody else has already built. I'm not starting from scratch. So I think that's one of the huge benefits of working with mentors.
That is so key. Everything that you said there, and I'm just going to repeat what you just said. I'm standing on a foundation that was already built by someone else. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Find those people that can be your foundation. Go for it. So when you guys were looking for mentors, what did you look for? Because I already heard a key couple of things that you just said, but I'd like to pinpoint that out for our listeners out there that are looking for mentors. So what were the key things that you were looking for?
I mean, I guess I would say when you're looking for a mentor, make sure that that person is actually doing what you want to do. So in other words, don't go, you know, work with somebody who is just educating you, read a couple of books, and now is just educating you and regurgitating what they've learned. But somebody, if you want to buy apartment buildings, get mentored by somebody who's actually buying those apartment buildings, not someone who just enjoys talking about it. I would say look for somebody who makes themselves available to you, like the actual mentor, and I mean, this varies, right? Because there's so many different kind of coaching systems out there where there's like the higher up coach and then there's little coaches underneath them. But for me, one of the things that I really liked was having direct access to the person that I was, signing up to mentor under. And that was like a key component. I would say that, find someone who fits with your learning style. If, don't partner up with somebody or get mentored by someone who, teaches in such a way that is too relaxed maybe for you, or vice versa. Maybe they're too aggressive for you and maybe you want more of a relaxed way, a more casual way of being mentored. So find someone who melds with your personality. I don't know. I guess that's kind of my top three.
And then to go with what Annie was saying, when you did your first deals, you said you did your first duplex, you didn't have a mentor. So I like to tell people, and I like to reiterate this time and time again, don't pay for mentorship until you start making money. Like go out and read a book. There's so many books out there. There's YouTube. There's everything, so many things of free RIAs that you can go to, get your information for free, try and do it once on your own. And if it's something that sticks with you and it becomes your passion, like it is for Julie and Annie here, then go for it. Go get mentorship. Go for broke on that end. But first, I'd say try it yourself. Do you guys agree?
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely.
I've lost money on a deal before. I'll just put that out there. I've lost money. I don't make money on every single deal I do, even though I've done it many times. There have been times where I've lost money, and I see those as my mentors too.
Yes.
They're not people, but they're experiences that I've learned so much from, and arguably more than I could have from just following a mentor.
Yes. Yes, failure is sometimes the best teacher.
Mm-hmm.
The best teacher above all. So where is your business today? What are you trying to accomplish today, and where are you looking to go?
I think when Julie and I set out to create Goodegg Investments, we didn't want to just help wealthy people get wealthier. They're fine without us. They don't need us. We always set out to help the little guys, the people who are just sort of starting out or who may have never heard of passive investing or real estate syndications before. And so that's a big part of what we do here is we try to spread the message of passive investing, passive income, spending more time with your family, building wealth for your family. We try to spread that message to as many people as we can. And so over the last several months, we've been fortunate to have all these deals, and we've been doing all these deals and getting our investors into these deals, which has been fantastic. And right now we're at the cusp of we're about to launch an online education platform. And so we're getting ready to launch an online course specifically for people who may not have much real estate investing experience at all, but who want to put their money into real estate without having to be a landlord. And so this course, Passive Real Estate Investor Academy, will help us, one, to spread the word, and two, to help people invest confidently in their first real estate syndication. So I think at the moment, we're sort of at the crux of, we've got all these investors in our database who are investing into these great deals. And now we're also able to focus on bringing on some new people and spreading the message to people who have never heard this message before.
What an incredible value add. Passive Real Estate Academy. When are you launching this?
That will be launching in November.
I can't wait. I can't wait. Such an amazing value add. Julie, do you have anything to add to that?
No, really, primarily when Annie and I first met, one of the things that, I had already started equity raising before Annie and I met. And one of the problems that I was running into was that there is so much information, right? For a beginner, someone who doesn't really know about passive investing, there's so much to get them from point A of, wanting to invest, and then, Z of like actually pulling the trigger and investing. And so that's another thing. It goes back to talking about partnerships, is that's another thing that Annie's so great at, is she's really great at the education piece. And so part of our partnership was so that she could manage the educational piece of all of this, educate the investors and get them to that point, so that when they reach me of, saying, okay, Julie, I'm ready to invest, they're armed with all of the knowledge that they need. And so that this Passive Real Estate Investor Academy is a critical piece to the whole Goodegg Investments, and why Annie and I came together, and how now it's actually finally like coming together full circle, right? Because it wasn't just to get out there and raise money for deals. I mean, that at the end of the day was the goal, but I think the larger goal was to get out there and help investors understand these passive opportunities. Whether or not they invest or not really wasn't the end goal. It's really for them to be able to understand that there's other options out there to invest their money in besides the 401ks and the stock market, right? And buying a single family home out of state. I mean, those were the things that I knew before I got into this. And when I found out about passive investing, it just changed my world. I mean, to have money out there making more money for you while you can like be off in where doing whatever it is you want to do, Hawaii, or whatever it is you want to do, is incredibly life-changing. At least it was for me. And so that's such a huge component. This educational platform is such a huge component of our partnership and us wanting to come together. So I'm super excited about that. And Annie's done such a great job of, taking the reins on that and getting it to come to fruition. So I'm super excited about that. But yeah, that's what I wanted to add.
Too, and I can't wait to promote it for you. I can't I'm huge on education and getting the word out there. Yeah. So let's kind of switch gears a little bit. So we are all mothers. We all have children. Last time I had a huge discussion with you, me and Julie were talking about, and I think you had the same conversation with Annie a few months ago about relinquishing your job as a working mother and just doing real estate full time. Were you able to do that, Julie?
Yeah, so it's funny. You think
Yay!
you like, yeah, yeah, I did. I mean, I quit my job, right? But it's funny, a funny thing happens, right? You think you quit your job and you think life's going to be great and you're going to have all this time to like do whatever you want. And it's been hard. It's been really hard because I quit my job, and then like a month later we had Goodegg Investments was like born. And so it was like I suddenly had a fourth child. So I left my job, but now I have like this fourth child that I have to take care of. And we've really spent the last like 5 months, 6 months just like nurturing this newborn baby, we're trying to get it to life, and it's thriving and it's doing so well. But in all of that, I've kind of lost myself and lost sort of, how do I take care of me? How do I take care of my family? And so, but what's great about what we do is I was able to take some time off, and with Annie's approval, of course, and I was able to take some time off and sort of reconfigure my life and think about, what does my life look like now as a real estate investor full-time and as a mom of 3 kids? Not what does my life look like trudging off to work every day and being gone from the house and having my own life for 8 hours a day, right? So it's this huge shift. And I realized in stepping over to this other side, that I've had to segregate days and times and hours and assign certain projects to certain days of the week and certain times of the day. And when I'm either not with my kids or driving somebody to, Mandarin class or driving them to wherever they need to go swimming or whatnot. And so far it's been great. I'm a couple of weeks into that new schedule, and it's been working out really great. I finally feel like I have some peace again. So it's been good.
That is amazing. I love it when we get to talk to, as mothers, as women, as investors, like how we can lose ourselves in this business, because again, it's like having another child. You're nurturing this business and you're trying to grow basically another being into something successful, and you're giving so much of yourself to it. So I'm so happy to hear that you did take a little time for yourself. You did put time blocking into your life. You did figure out and are on the path of figuring out, because that's how we're all on the same path. We're all trying to figure it out. So thank you for being so truthful on that, and on that note. Annie?
I remember back when, because I used to work in game design because I wanted to make educational games. And I was working for this one startup. We were making physical fitness games for kids. And it was a small startup. It was 3 of us, and the CEO and the founder, he had previously been the chief technology officer at EA Canada. So he's this big hotshot, right? And he's doing his startup for the first time. And I remember Halloween that year, he came into the office, and his costume was, he had like this headband that looked like he had a knife sticking out of his head. And I said, "Oh, what are you?" And he said, "An entrepreneur." And it's so true, right? Like, as an employee, you get to go to the office in the morning, you get to stop for coffee, you get to chit chat with people, check your emails, take a little break, go back and have lunch. And then, at the end of the day, you're done. You clock out, you're done. And you don't have to think about it. Exactly. But as an entrepreneur, there is no end. Every moment, it's like that newborn that we keep talking about, right? It wants to eat every couple of hours. It's got its needs, right? And so it's ongoing. So it's really hard to establish those boundaries. Especially when we've got a phone in our pockets all the time, and technology is always so close by. So I've found it difficult to maintain that. I've had periods where I've been really good, wake up early in the morning, do my exercise and meditation. I feel really good for the day. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to nail this. And then I have periods of time where I feel really good about the balance of my life. And then we talk about some initiatives, or maybe some deals come on the table, or we're trying to push out this course. And I'm like, oh, well, maybe that time in the morning I could spend on some blog writing or some marketing. And slowly that landslide sort of pushes me back into, well, now it's like I'm full on, like every minute I'm rushing around like crazy. And then at a certain breaking point, like Julie has reached recently, I'm like, then you got to reset. And so I find it's most difficult not to time block, because you can't, you just block it out in your calendar, but actually to follow that and to stay consistent with that over a long period of time.
Staying honest with yourself and following those steps that you put in your life to make your life better. I am totally, There's
How about you,
days where, let's shine the spotlight on me. I have my days planned out to a T, almost to the half hour. Do I follow my calendar? Does my 3-month-old follow my calendar? Absolutely not. But as investors, not only just as mothers of just mothers and women, just as investors, we have to realize that stuff's going to happen. Family's going to come into play. Maybe you forgot your kid's soccer uniform, or your house is a mess one day. You can't let it destroy you, because I know you guys have had these moments where you'll find something out of place, and all of a sudden your day is just shot. So why did that happen? It's probably because you didn't take the time in the morning to exercise, to do your meditation, your prayers, your visualizations, your miracle morning. So I think what we're all trying to get at here is to take time for yourself. You are the powerhouse, and we keep on coming back to that word, I think, in this podcast. You are the powerhouse that's powering this business that you're creating. Take care of that power and don't give it up so easily. Take care of that power and don't give it up so easily.
Yeah.
So let's switch gears one more time. Well, it's not too much of a switch. I have a couple more questions before I let you both go. What is your why? Annie, why don't you go?
Oh, man. Well, my why is just the thing that we were just talking about is my family. I've got 2 little boys at home, and they're 5 and 2, and they are, man, little boys have so much energy, you know. But part of getting to work at home is I get to hear them playing outside of my door. And at any moment, I can stop and I can go out and I can join them and play with them and then come back and do some work. And so I love that. And we're fortunate my mom lives with us. And my husband is also in real estate. He's a real estate agent, and he also loves this real estate investing stuff. And so it's all about that family for me, spending time with my family and building passive income so that we can build wealth for our kids' future.
Thank you for that, Annie. Julie?
She stole my answer.
It's a common answer.
I get that a lot.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. Yeah, I mean, no, that's exactly what it is, right? I mean, it's all about family. It's my 3 kids, my family. That's the primary reason that I even started to look into real estate in the first place, was how am I going to grow my wealth? How am I going to build my family's wealth such that I can retire early? I just never knew it was going to happen this soon. That was the only thing. I thought, 20 years, maybe 15 years, and here I am a year and a half later, 2 years later after getting into this. And here I am, I quit my job, right? But it was that desire to want to be around my family and my kids. There were at one point when I was leaving my job towards the end, the last year I was there, I was working from home. And my son would be playing right outside of my office, and I could hear him laughing and singing and dancing and playing with all the toys. And it would just like crush me. It would break my heart that I could not be out there like playing with him. Right. And so that right there is my why, because I wanted to be outside my office door with him, playing on those toys, dancing around the living room, singing those songs and holding his hand, right? Like that's the reason right there that I do it. And being able to go to all of my girls' performances, being able to volunteer at their school, being able to take them to whatever they want to do when they want to do it at a time that's convenient for them, not convenient for me, right? And so all of that is so important to me, and it's great because now that we do what we do, I'm able to do all of that, and it's literally a dream come true. So
that is.
And I'll add one more piece to that. Actually, is that when I was growing up, my Asian parents always pressured me, they said, well, you're going to be either a doctor or a lawyer, or if you really stretch, maybe like a computer scientist or something. But those are your options. And for my kids, I want them to be whatever they want to be. It's their life. I don't want to pressure them to do anything, but I do want them to know that regardless of what they choose, they can use real estate to build that passive income, to carry them through so they don't have to worry about money. And that's another reason why that we're doing this, is so that we can figure out the best way so that we can then pass on those lessons to our children.
Wow.
Yeah. And not only just our children, but I feel like even taking that on a higher level, which was even the reason for our partnership, Annie, right? Was we've found this joy. We've found this happiness. We know what our why is, and we've partnered up together to basically answer that for ourselves. But I think on a larger scale for us is that we wanted to then bring this our experiences and what we've learned to other people so that they can learn, and so that they don't have to be sitting inside their office and hearing their kids outside and wanting to play with them and, not knowing how do I get from, I hear it all the time, mothers wanting to work from home or find a second job or find a third job. And it's like, I wish I knew about what we're doing now 5-10 years ago before I even got married and started thinking about having kids and started to learn on how to build what we're doing now, so that I didn't have to even work when my kids were first born. I wouldn't have had to go back to work, and so that's sort of a passion that we have, and why we created Goodegg Investments was to share that knowledge. And that goes back to the Investor Academy, and it goes back to, education and just spreading the word and getting this information out there to other women, especially who are feeling so burdened with, the responsibilities of work and being a wife and, being a mother and all of those responsibilities. And it's like, take some of the money that you have, put it to work for you so that you can go out there and spend more time with the people that you love. And that, for us, I think is one of the things that really drives us in what we do at Goodegg. So, yeah.
Ladies, I love your passion. I love your just insistence almost on getting the word out there to other women, other investors, men, women, doesn't matter. I love the value that you are adding today to just not only my listeners, but to the world, especially when this Passive Real Estate Academy comes through. I mean, that's gonna blow the top off of your business, and it's gonna blow the minds of the people that join you in your journey to financial freedom. It's fantastic. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Well, before I leave you, I have one more question. What are words that you live by?
Ooh, end with a good one.
Annie, you want to go first, or I'll go first?
Sure.
Or it doesn't matter. Yeah.
I could go first. I've got a whole, right next to it here. I'll shift you can see with the rest of my messy office, but you'll see all these Post-its, and I've got all of these sayings, which are words that I live by, and I'll read off a few of them. I've got, every problem is an opportunity. That's the first one that's right next to my computer. I see all the time. So anything that comes up, I turn it right around and I see, how can this be an opportunity for me to learn, to grow, and to change? And another one I love too is this one, fail faster.
Yes.
And whenever I get stuck on something and I'm like, I just want it to be, this much more perfect. I think I could spend a little more time making it more perfect. And I look at that one and I see, no, I've got to put it out there. I've got to not be afraid to fail. And only through failing and failing quickly will we be able to grow quickly.
Thank you for that. Julie?
Yeah, I would say for me, it's stay true to yourself. Stay true to who you are. And as long as you do that, you're just bound to succeed. I think once you start straying away from that and you start not being true to yourself, not being true to who you really are at the core of everything that you want and what you want to do in life, you're going to go off the path that you were meant to be. So yeah, stay true to yourself.
Well, thank you both. So for our listeners out there, what are the best ways for others to connect with you and to learn more about your real estate academy?
Yep. So people can reach me at julie@goodegginvestments.com, and you can read more about us and what we do at goodegginvestments.com.
And Annie?
You could feel free to reach out to me as well. I'm at Annie@goodegginvestments.com. And to learn more about Passive Real Estate Investor Academy, which again will be launching in November. I have committed to it because I'm going to fail fast and I'm not going to make it any more perfect.
Get it out there.
So yes, get it out there. We're launching it in November. We're super excited about it. And you can find more information about that on our website as well.
Fantastic. Thank you both so much for your passion, for your value, for just being simply amazing powerhouses. I'm so excited. I mean, just in the past, like, what was it, 6 months, maybe a year, you guys have grown so much. I can't not wait to have the same conversation 6 months from now. I'm so excited to see where you guys go with this. Again,
well, Peely, you know, it takes a powerhouse to know a powerhouse. So you're pretty awesome yourselves, and we look forward to continuing to watch your success grow too.
Thank you so much, Annie. Again, this is the Real Estate Investing Foundation podcast with Jason and Peely. I'm Peely, and I am so grateful to you for listening. Thank you so much. You all have a great day. Bye now.
Thanks for tuning into the REI Foundation podcast. Check back next time for more awesome tips and strategies to launch your new you in real estate.